What is up, guys and gals? Welcome to episode number 170 of the Nonsense Review. That's right, there's nothing interesting to say, so instead, let's say happy birthday to Liam Neeson.
Apparently, happy birthday, Liam Neeson.
He was born on June 7th, which is when we're recording this, but will be grossly out of date by the time this is uploaded.
Yeah.
So those of you familiar with the show know that we talk about our weeks and the goings-on before we actually dive into the review. We're not going to reveal quite what we're doing just yet, but before that, we are in the month of June, and taking a leaf out of our book from last year, we're going to shine a spotlight on the rainbow. Is that what we called it?
Yeah, I think we did Pick of the Rainbow.
Pick of the Rainbow. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing a bit of a... What we're saying, we're pointing out people who are on the LGBT rainbow and just saying, yeah, these people are awesome, check out their stuff. Although that doesn't quite apply to our first category, does it, Rick?
No, our first category is a fictional character. I think last year I picked Rain Whispers.
Yeah, I picked Barney, if I recall.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's what we're doing. We're going to do two this week because obviously last week we had a bit of a snafu and we had to use a pre-record. This is actually live, you can tell. Haha, hello. But yes, Rick, we already spoiled it a little bit. The first category is fictional character. Who do you want to shed a spotlight on?
I'm shedding it on Dorian Pavus with a honourable mention to the Iron Bull. Dorian is a really fun character to just have around while you're playing in Dragon Age Inquisition. If you are playing as a female character, you can flirt with him, and he flirts back. But he very quickly lets you know that no, he's not into ladies. And if he were, he'd be set for life because he has a arranged marriage with someone who he gets on incredibly well with, but they have one too many things in common.
Yeah, that's one thing Dragon Age Inquisition did really well with their two solely gay characters, that I can recall at least, with both Sarah and Dorian, in that they both let you down incredibly gently when you're of the opposite gender. And I kind of don't like the fact that the game gives you the option to be a dick about it.
Yeah, it's weird. But the thing that really sells it for me is when it's just how heart-wrenching the little bit of story is when he talks about how his parents tried to use blood magic to change his orientation.
Oh yeah, the voice actor fucking nailed that line with the you tried to change me. I'm not even going to try and do it as well as the voice actor did, but trust me, it fucking hits hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try to do the impression because it has to be enjoyed well to a...
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it has to be experienced within the context of the entire medium. So you need to see the character's facial expressions and the voice actor's performance, and it really sells the character, and that's not just all he is as well. And that's a running theme with all of our picks for this category so far, is that their position on the rainbow is not all the character is. It's like when people say, I want a strong female character. They don't want Hercules. They want a character that is written strongly.
Yeah, they want Samus.
Yeah.
Samus, who is a character that I can't remember if it was one game or two game, but everyone assumed was the dude.
Yeah, it was the first game. You could get her in a bikini right at the end.
We're completely fucking smashing everything we just said.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But yes, who's going to be your pick of the rainbow for fictional characters?
Oh, this one was pretty easy for me. It's going to be Zagreus.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, the joke is made, and the joke will continue to be made, that Hades 1, because now there's a sequel, yay, is just the game for bisexual awakenings, and Zagreus himself is no exception.
Yeah, bi-panic the game.
Like, for real. Like, bi-panic the game, and then Hades 2 is lesbian panic the game.
Oh, it's not even bi-panic in Hades 2, is it?
It's, well, maybe. It's one of those where the main character... I don't know how to describe it, to be honest, but, like, every character that she bumps into, it just feels more intimate with the female characters, and I think that's partly because of the whole coven aspect of witches.
Sure, okay.
Which I think has been an allegory for lesbians for a while, is like the witches' coven, or I might be making that up, I don't know.
It makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
I'm holding my hands up on that one. That's just something I think. I don't know if that's actually correct. So it's one of those where, I don't know. The thing with Melinoy is there is one male character that she's bumped into where it seems like there might be something more than just friendship. Whereas every time she talks to Nemesis and Eris, it's just like, these characters are going to bone. And also, like...
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I was just thinking about the witches thing, yeah. Affinity for cats and rejection of general society, yeah, it does read a bit like an allegory by modern standards.
Like I said, I don't know. It's just something I've always thought. Well, not always thought, but, when I've had the writing brain on when watching certain things, you're like, you could think this. It's like how vampires are more or less an allegory for sexual assault or grooming.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that. We're trying to keep this as a happy and fun podcast. Zagreus gets my vote. Him having a throuple with Megan Fan is great. You can get your flirt on with Medusa, but Medusa's just like, can we just be friends? And Zagreus is like, okay.
Yeah. Medusa's actually kind of also an honourable mention because being asexual is something that's not really brought up very often.
This is true. Medusa's a weird one because of the myths behind her, so let's not get too far into that, shall we?
Yeah.
Instead, let's introduce our second category for today, and you'll have 2 more categories for the rest of the month. But yeah, for today, the other pick of the rainbow we're doing is LGBT creator. I always want to say BLT, and I know it's wrong. But yes, Rick, who did you pick for this one?
I picked Obi Katie Cat. She's a metal guitarist and metal singer on YouTube. She also has a VTuber model as well, and unlike most VTubers, she looks almost exactly like the VTuber model, apart from the cat ears. And I didn't know until a little bit later that she was transgender.
Okay.
It is incredibly important that I know that she has a girlfriend, because otherwise I would be in a lot of danger because I have a massive crush on her.
Okay, that's fair. Like the only other openly LGBT VTuber I know of is Kason. I'm sure there's more, but...
Oh, yeah, there's... It's one of these open secrets that most people in that walk of life are on the rainbow somewhere. Like, I'm pretty sure Callie is asexual, and that's part of something that she's trying to skirt around.
That's actually a problem in the idol industry, isn't it?
Yeah. You need to put forward this persona of being both heterosexual and pure.
Yeah. But leave enough of a gap in the door that people can think that they can be gross with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not joking, the idol industry... I bring this up every time, but, like, if you're a fan of idols, just be aware the idol industry's fucked. And I'm sure a lot of Western idol fans know that, whereas Japanese native idol fans are probably like, well, they don't think it's fucked because it's always been that way.
Yeah. One thing that made me really like her content was when she did a tutorial on how to metal raw, and I've not tried it yet, but I get it.
That's dangerous.
I've
seen many. Like, here's the thing: is I've not seen her tutorial. I've seen a few because I've always toyed with the idea, and I was like, I don't want to fuck my vocal cords up. I'm good.
But yes, absolute stunner. Go check her out, and incredibly skilled as well. So, who's going to be your pick of the rainbow for a creator?
Mine's a bit different, and I also don't know if I'm going to pronounce the name correctly because I've only ever seen it written down, so apologies in advance for that.
Sure.
My nod to creator goes to Dean DeBloid.
Okay. What are they known for?
They are known for Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon, and also they were the co-head of story for Mulan, the animated version.
Fair enough.
So this guy is a writer/producer, and is openly gay with Disney, which I think is a big deal, although that being said, until I did a bit more research than none, I didn't know this guy existed, and that's a fucking shame, because listen to that fucking pedigree.
Yeah, absolutely. Mulan's an interesting one as well, because as a character, Mulan is allegorical for a lot of transgender journeys, even though the character herself isn't meant to be in the Disney canon. It's pretty much confirmed that the historical one that the stories are based off of was essentially living one way, you know?
It's one of those weird ones because you've got to take the ancient version of gender into account, and it becomes a bit more iffy. Like not just gender but sexuality as well. Because the example I always like to point to is Alexander the Great, who by today's standards would almost certainly be bisexual, if not outright homosexual. But by ancient standards, it wasn't really a thing. And the reason why we've got the big old joke of him and Hephaestus being like, oh, they were roommates, is that we don't actually know, because by ancient standards they were a lot more affectionate without having to give a fuck. I'm convinced that they probably were lovers, but the problem with history is you need more proof than none, and a lot of stuff is like you could swing it either way. And like, for fuck's sake, Alexander the Great's bodyguards were called the fucking companions, which is already gay as fuck.
Yeah.
And I say that with love, not to fucking be derogative, because like, come on. If you had a battle-hardened unit of big, burly, tough men, and they're called the Companions, you're like, oh, those guys are having gay orgies every night, which, you know, more power to them.
I mean, that's what they call the Fighters Guild in Skyrim, so...
Yeah, and that's pretty gay too.
Yeah, because they're all hairy wolves.
If Aiella wasn't there, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not knocking it, but it's gay. Alrighty, so, with that little bit of lightheartedness out of the way, Deployed, good job, man. I wish more people knew about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, today we're doing a fan request. This is from, I didn't write the chap's name again, but it's that Raphael fella, the person who we've only ever taken requests from because he's the only person who makes them.
Yeah. Was this the person who did the Sentai request as well?
Si, correcto.
Yeah, sweet. Hello.
So yeah, before we get into the actual show, which by the way, we're doing the first episode of X-Men Evolution, which is a cracking fucking cartoon, we want to talk about our weeks and the goings on in the Wild Wide Universe. Obviously we've got a slight problem, we've got 2 weeks to cover, so before I waffle any longer, Rick, how have your weeks been?
Well, here's a few things. I started watching Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Dark, which may or may not be a love story, but the art for it has been fantastic so far, and yeah, it might turn out to be a love story, which is, a bit different to what the normal isekai trash that I watch as anime.
Ah, so it is anime.
Oh, it's anime, yeah.
So is it people or actually jellyfish or what? What's going on?
Oh, it's humans. The jellyfish thing is because one of the characters drew a jellyfish mural in the city, and another of the characters uses that mural as like their inspiration for their singing, and they're essentially mutual fans of each other, and they start a talent ring called Jelly. So
basically, Banksy and Taylor Swift decide to fuck. And,
yeah, more or less. But yeah, these are a couple of girls. Apparently, there's some more that join in later.
Ah, fair do.
But yeah, that I found out after a couple of episodes that it's still ongoing. So I've got more to look forward to in future. I watched a man try to buy a display rail in a charity shop.
A display what?
A display rail.
Was it so wait, hang on. Let me get this straight. It wasn't a thing for sale. It was literally the thing they hang clothes off.
Yes.
And what was the answer?
It was just I'm sorry, that's not for sale, sir. It didn't even have any clothes on it. He just wanted to buy it.
I mean, I don't know where you buy those things, so I don't blame the chat. But at the same, especially if they decided to just fuck off after. But that's a weird thing to want to buy.
Yeah, it was right next to the till as well, so they were obviously about to refill it. But yeah,
how much did he offer?
I don't even know. I think he just wanted to buy it and wanted them to give him a price for it.
The problem is those things are fucking expensive, so I'm not surprised that they didn't give an answer, but you know.
Yeah. So that's just one of the fun things that I saw. I watched the Garfield movie.
Oh, fuck, yeah, the thing that looks fucking awful.
It doesn't look awful. It looks like Garfield. However, it doesn't look interesting.
Sorry, when I say look awful, I didn't mean the animation looked awful. I mean the film looked awful.
Okay, yeah. It was fine, it filled the time, but it didn't need to be Garfield. The story that they told was not a Garfield story.
Did you want to eat lasagna afterwards?
Not particularly.
How many times was lasagna brought up in the film? Because if it's less than 10, then they failed.
Probably about 10, actually. They did show a lot of lasagna, and he did eat all of it.
You know what? I watched a Robot Chicken sketch just the other day of Garfield going to the vet, and the vet being like, we have to cut off all 4 of your feet, Garfield. You got mega diabetes. All you eat is lasagna. And then they told fucking John, this is going to cost $2,200, and he just goes, fuck that, buries the cat, buys another one. Which is super fucked up, but it's Robot Chicken, so it's funny.
Yeah. In this one, Garfield has a phone and can Uber Eats things, and runs up a massive bill on John.
Oh, I mean, I get it. Like, it's Garfield, modernise it. That's something Garfield would do, but fuck, I'd be like... I don't know, man. That feels like it's... fuck it. I'm dangerously close to being old man yells at cloud, so I'm going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, one of the plot points at the end of the film is where Garfield orders $16,000 worth of delivery for instant delivery just to make use of the drones that they send out to him.
That's going to be a thing soon, isn't it?
Yeah. Instant drone delivery of food.
You're going to get fucking people building and modify. It's going to be real life robot wars where people make fucking drones with like flamethrowers to steal food.
Yeah. I started a Baldur's Gate 3 4-player honor mode and failed to pull out Gale from his hole. This is like, I was playing Dark Urge and I could have just taken his hand, but I didn't know that you could fail to recruit him just from failing skill checks.
I mean, I didn't know that it was a possibility, but I kind of assumed it was, because otherwise why make it a skill check? But at the same it's the two things that I hate about Baldur's Gate, is there are some checks I wish weren't checks. The first one with Shadowheart really fucking broke me when I failed it that one time, because, okay, nothing bad happens to her, but you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, the first one, just like, it's DC 2.
Yeah, you have to roll a 1.
Yeah, you have to roll a 1. And the other thing is you can just switch to Lae'zel and make Lae'zel do it.
I didn't know you could do that, obviously.
Yeah. But she even gives you points for trying when you get down to the surface as well, if you do fail. But yeah, we fail to recruit Gale, but that's kind of okay, because we're 4 players and none of us are Gale.
Yeah, I saw you guys in the Discord when you started that, and I was like, they're clearly doing their Baldur's Gate, so I'm not going to bother them.
Yeah. 1 player is Shadowheart, the rest of them, I'm Dark Urge, and the other 2 are Tavs.
Yeah, I know one of you is trying to make that... Well, I assume that the reason why they shared that build was because they were going to do that build.
Yeah, Shadowheart is now a Divine Fist Shadowheart.
They call me Fisto Roboto.
I also watched a YouTube video on Glup Shitto. Do you know what Glup Shitto is?
Unless it's the AI story ruining thing, then no.
It's a spurious name for obscure Star Wars characters.
Okay, yeah, like that guy who's fucking called fucking Snicks Coming or something.
Yeah.
It's not his name, but it's something stupid like that. Like fucking, like, what's it, the fucking Jizz and the Whalers or something?
Oh, yeah, the Jizz Whalers. Yeah, those are the
band.
Those are the band in the cantina. So yeah, those are Glup Shittos. Things that generally only get names in extraneous materials. You're lucky if somebody gets a name in the movies, like Biggs Darklighter is a prime Glup Shitto, because he's very well regarded among the fan community, because everyone in the fans, like all the like super greybeard mega nerds, love him. But if you ask Jeff from the street, who may have seen Star Wars and may have enjoyed it, who Biggs Darklighter was, he probably wouldn't be able to tell you.
I mean, Rick, I like Star Wars a lot, and I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
It's Luke's friend who dies in the Death Star run and isn't Porkins.
Okay, I didn't know he had a name. So, you know,
yeah.
I'm pretty much the prime candidate for who you're talking about. I like Star Wars. I like it a lot. I don't like it that much.
Yeah, Luke goes, "Blast it, Biggs, where are you?" And I think that's the only time his name gets mentioned. What? He's also in a deleted scene, which is also kind of where he gets a lot of recognition from.
Obviously, I know about Biggs and Wedge, but I didn't realise Biggs' surname was Darklighter or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and in the novels, he's got a little brother called Gavin. Of all things.
Yeah, okay. Like, that's a Final Fantasy trope, isn't it? It's like Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, Biggs, Wedge, and Jeffy. Biggs, Wedge, and Gavin.
Literally, it's just like, here's 2 stupid out there fucking names, and then here's this fucking normal chap called, like, Cloud, Barrett, Tifa. If only there was a party member called Jim.
Yeah. Like, I think the closest thing they've got is Wes Jansen. And because Wes is just a normal name, because it's Wesley. And that's Wedge's gunner in Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, Glup Shadows. There's a second episode that's come out that I've not watched yet, but yeah, it's a fun bit of content to consume. Looking at someone do a deep dive into all these obscure fucking characters. The Acolyte came out, and I've watched episode 1.
So spoilers light, please.
Sure, I've watched episode 1. Before it came out, it was at a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes from all the people downvoting it because it has a transgender actor as one of the Jedi in episode 1.
I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest with you. I thought I've seen this show get a lot of negative feedback, and I didn't know why, because I didn't know it was out until you literally messaged me the other day. I was like, oh, that's out? Shit, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Just tell me this, right? And do we know... How does the episode end with us knowing there's a Sith around? I'll take that as a no, and we'll move on.
Yeah, there is definitely someone with a red lightsaber who is probably a Sith.
Well, that's what I meant. Does the red lightsaber person show up on screen for more than a second?
Yeah, but it's not the main character.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be. That wasn't my question.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, there is a red lightsaber person. I've not watched episode 2 yet. It dropped with 2 episodes to begin with. And I finished my first Pokerogue run. It was when I got into the swing of things and didn't get completely walled by a single boss fight. It was a little bit easier than I was expecting it to be.
Okay.
And yeah, so I would recommend it as a rogue experience of the Pokemon franchise.
I guess I don't understand what's the goal.
Well, there's 200 floors. Get to floor 200 and win.
Okay.
And because it's more of a roguelite than roguelike, you unlock things for future runs.
Yeah. I know how Hades works. It's cool.
Yeah. So like, by catching a Pokemon, you unlock its base form as something you can select as a starter in future. You start with all the starters from the first 9 generations, which is currently all of them, and you get 10 points to spend on your starting loadout, which... The starters are 3 points each. Weedle is like 1, so you can have 3 starters and a Weedle if you like, for instance. Or you can like buy legendaries for more. I think I started with a legendary and a Fuecoco and went from there.
I think Fuecoco might be my favourite fire starter at this point.
It's definitely one of the best in Pokerogue because you keep stat boosts between wild battles.
Yeah, sure, I don't care about that. I'm just saying I think Pokemon's cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
It's cute and it ends up cool.
I was going to say, like, thinking about that, you saying that Skeledirge's signature move just constantly boosts special attacks, so that's going to be busted.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why it's the best of the starters, at least.
If you don't like Fuecoco, I have an issue with you. I just want to say that now, on record.
Because the closest one, I think, is Quaxley, who ends up with the speed boosting thing, which, okay, a speed boost is pretty good, but it's not the same as, like, adding 50% to your attack power every time.
I was going to say, it's of limited use.
Yeah.
And it still gets beaten by quick attack.
Yeah. Once you outspeed, you're outspeeding, and yeah, it still gets beaten by priority. But yes, out onto the wide world, The Sims 4 is looking at introducing limited time events / battle pass style content.
Oh, EA's just speedrunning killing that game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I say that, Sims 4's been around for like 10 years, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. The fact that it's essentially free now, apart from like whatever extra content, means that they very definitely pivoted in that direction. It does mean that we're essentially overdue on The Sims 5.
I've got to be honest with you, Rick, I don't think I've ever had fun with The Sims. Oh no, I tell a lie, there was a Nintendo Wii version of The Sims, which had you build furniture in-game and use different essences to boost it and it would make your neighbours like you. That was kind of fun, but it was so not Sims, it might as well have not had the names.
Sure. Like, I played The Sims 1 and 2 and then a little bit of 3, and I had fun with those because I was a bit of a basic bitch and games weren't that good then.
Here's the thing, Rick. I think I've told you this before. I don't like sandbox games because I need a girl.
Sure. Yeah, I think my goal in that was basically just become CEO of whatever job you're in, which you don't even get to do. You just set your sim up with enough friends and skills for them to maybe get promotions at work.
Well, in real life, we know all it takes is a blowjob or two.
Yeah. Trump has been convicted on all 34 charges.
Rick, I'm glad you brought this up because I've got an amusing fact about this.
Yeah, if he becomes president, then he can just pardon himself.
No, it's better than that. President Trump, or former President Trump, Trump has officially become the Spider George of presidents.
Spiders, George.
Yeah. because before this, the average amount of convicted felonies of a president was 0.
Yeah.
And now thanks to
it's
this,
like
it's
0.8.
yeah, it's fucking dumb. Oh, I love it. It's great. Fuck you, Spider George.
Respawn is confirmed to be making Jedi Game 3.
Jedi Game 3? Is this
So
the guys who made...
Yeah, like Jedi Outcast and Jedi Survivor.
Ah, cool. I haven't played Survivor. Wait, I don't know which one. I played the first one, but I got really bored.
Sure. Yeah, like, I think we both ran into the same thing of, yes, a lightsaber should be killing these things, and it's not. So, the exploration feels very reminiscent of, like, old Tomb Raider and stuff like that, which is kind of cool, and, like, you get to see all these set pieces that look absolutely fantastic. But the combat don't feel as cool early on, so...
The combat would be better if... And I know why they can't do this in the setting, because they picked the fucking worst setting for this, in theory, because there's no fucking Jedi or Sith around. But if every enemy had a lightsaber, it would be fine.
Yeah, like if it was an Old Republic Jedi versus Sith time.
Literally. That's all they had to do to make me actually a bit more excited, but I hate the fact that I'm beating up this frog, and it takes 100 swings to kill it. It's like, what?
Yeah. And it's a bit of a nothing burger of a statement, but it's also been confirmed that someone else is working on something else.
That's vague.
I know, but it's Star Wars.
Oh, so it's a Star Wars project.
It is Star Wars.
Cool, sure.
Yeah, it's a Star Wars project. But yeah, the confirmation is that someone else is working on a different project that's not Jedi Game 3.
I mean, I'm glad EA lost the fucking exclusivity to Star Wars, but fuck am I bothered with most of the companies that got it.
Yeah, Ubisoft looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the last two things, one of them is something that a friend of ours sent us. There's a new Wallace and Gromit coming. Looks to be towards the end of the year, and it's a direct sequel to The Wrong Trousers.
Well, just a continuation of the Wallace and Gromit shorts, really.
Yeah, it's Vengeance Most Foul.
Yeah, it's going to involve Feathers McGraw. Here's the thing with Feathers McGraw, is Hardman loves Feathers McGraw. He always shows up in the background of things. I remember 2 weeks after we watched Chicken Run, I went, Rick, Feathers McGraw was in it, and it was like, where? I had to back when I could still take screenshots of Netflix, I fucking went all the way to there, he's fucking there.
Yeah, you can't take screenshots no more. But yeah, this looks cute, and I'm looking forward to it, and we'll probably try and get an episode on it when it comes out. And the last thing is a bit of a sad one. Rob Burrow, a rugby player with motor neuron syndrome, passed away age 41.
Motor neuron disease is a right bitch. It took my nan.
Yeah.
I would not wish that upon anyone. As far as I'm aware, the only person who was able to live with it long term was Stephen Hawking, and even then, well, everyone sees what it did to his body, but there's theories that it was a different strain of some kind, because it's very odd that he's the only person who didn't die within a couple of years.
Yeah, it also took my granddad, so it's something that's a bit near and dear to both of our hearts for finding ways to treat it. But yeah, he went from diagnosis to gone very quickly. He didn't get to the my parents called it cabbage, but the vegetable state. He didn't end up as a vegetable. He just slipped away before that stage.
Well, for those of you who don't know what MND does, and maybe they changed the name to MNS, I don't know. I've always called it MND.
Yeah, there's ALS. I think they use now these days a lot more. But
it's a very horrible disease. I wouldn't recommend looking it up. But what it essentially does, and this is bare bones, is your body slowly shuts down. So function by function.
I'd say exactly the opposite. Do look it up, because it's something that you need to be aware of. So
I more meant don't doom scroll it. When I say don't look things up, I mean don't look this up because you want to scare yourself, because it is a truly terrifying disease.
Oh, absolutely. But the sooner you catch it, there's potential for some amount of treatment, but you're never going to be the same again.
I believe it's one of those which is a bit on the end, which people don't like, because I think the leading treatment involves stem cells, but I might be wrong on that.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, because I really am just reaching into my memory, because it's been years since I've thought about anything other than giving a couple of quid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Ice Bucket Challenge was all in aid of that, by the way, so...
Here's how fucked the Ice Bucket Challenge is, Rick. Rick, is I had no idea what the fuck it was for.
Yeah.
It got to the stage where people were just doing it because it was a fucking trend
Challenge,
on the interwebs, and it's like, what is it? This is for. They never ever said a charity. They just said, I challenge X, Y, Z, Y, X, X, Y, and then did the ice bucket thing, and then that was the end of the video. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. What's the point of this? I didn't realize it had a cause.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's it for me and my week. How about you? How have you been? What have you seen in the universe over these past couple of weeks?
So it's been a couple of weeks. I was going to separate it week by week, but what's the fucking point? Let's just do it all in one big blob. Are you ready?
Yeah, mine was a blob as well.
So on personal note, obviously MCM happened. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of Pokemon mystery box things. They're Japanese things. They're nice little miniatures.
Did you get any fun ones?
I didn't get anything that I wanted from them, but they're all cool, so I didn't really care.
Sure.
I also bought a similar thing for Godzilla. It was like £7 for a grab bag random figure, and I got the worst possible result.
Oh, what'd you get?
I got Son of Godzilla, who sucks and is ugly. Okay, I say ugly. I can see why some people think Son of Godzilla is cute, and that is the current Godzilla in canon for the CGI shit they release every year, Rick, is Son of Godzilla.
Right, okay.
But, yeah, he does not look good. If you look it up, you'll see why. Anyway, there wasn't really much at Comic-Con, to be honest. We went down Artist Alley, and weirdly, Hamish Steele was there.
Oh, sweet.
Here's the thing, is MCM just happened to happen at the same time as MocoCon this year, or I think that's what it's called. So,
yeah,
a lot of comic book guys and animators and people with a name weren't in Britain, they were in America doing that instead.
Sure.
I was very tempted to go up to Hamish Steele and just be like, hey, your show's great, but and I was like, he's sitting at a booth at Comic-Con, he probably wants people to buy his comic, and I don't want to be a nuisance.
Yeah.
But, yeah, go on.
I probably would have bought it, but yeah.
I was being a stingy cunt, I'll put it that way.
Sure.
It was at that point in the day where I was like, I don't want to spend any more money, really. But yeah, the June PlayStation Plus games came out. There was a few games in there. I instantly jumped on the AEW video game, and I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't that impressed.
Sure.
It's one of those where the feel of the game is great, but when you actually get to the gameplay, it feels a bit more clunky than I was expecting. It's not the worst by any means, and I'm sure I'll feel that less the more I play. But more importantly, weirdly, fucking SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake was on PlayStation Plus, and I played it, and I don't know why it's so good.
Sweet.
It looks good, for one. It looks like a SpongeBob, it looks like a SpongeBob, it looks and feels like you're playing a SpongeBob cartoon. I will say it's a bit front-loaded in that the first world is great and then it's a bit downhill, but it never becomes boring or shit.
Okay.
And they do this weird thing where, I don't remember this ever being a thing in SpongeBob, but maybe it's a thing in the newer cartoons, where they keep cutting away to a entire screen, ultra-realistic graphic drawing with lots of snot and horribleness of characters while a woman screams.
Yeah, that's I've noticed that in SpongeBob quite a lot.
Yeah, so I didn't realise that was a thing, and they do it a lot, and I'm like, why? Who is this? Oh, it's kids, I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last thing on a personal note, Rick, is I'm hoping you watched this, but I'm going to suspect you didn't because you didn't say it, but I watched Helluva Boss Series 2, Episode 8, The Full Moon.
Yeah, I've not watched it yet.
Okay, you've got homework, because I want to talk to you about this on the podcast.
Sweet.
So we'll put a pin in that for now, but we will talk about it, guys.
Yeah. That's look forward to my dissemination of it next week.
You ready for some news, Rick?
Yeah, let's go.
Alrighty. Hey, Rick, the Netflix co-CEO argues that Barbie and Oppenheimer would have been just as big if they were on Netflix.
Ooh.
Follow-up quote, size of the screen doesn't matter. Their son watched Lawrence of Arabia on their phone.
I mean, it's a completely different experience. Maybe for Barbie, but definitely not for Oppenheimer.
I disagree. I think if you watch Barbie on the small screen, you don't get anywhere near as much of an experience. Quite frankly, though, Rick, here's the problem, and it's a big problem. We're millennials.
Sure.
I don't know about you, but I know you're okay with watching things. I don't like watching things on my phone.
I'm fine with it because I can put it in my face.
Yeah, sure, but, it just feels wrong. It feels like if I'm watching something on my phone, it should be throwaway garbage that I don't care about.
Yeah, but by the same token, I just don't sit up to watch things anymore, because if I'm sitting up, I might as well be playing a game.
Okay, maybe we do have contrasting viewpoints on life. So wait, if you're sitting up, you're like, I'm watching TV, you're like, what's the point in doing this when I could be playing a game?
Well, okay, the difference is if I'm watching something with my folks, then that's the activity for that moment. So when I'm watching things on like the new Star Wars stuff, or we've not had any in a while, but the like Marvel stuff and things like that, that is an activity to do with my folks, and that's what I'm doing then. But if it's something that I'm watching for myself, I'll watch it on my phone, because otherwise, if I'm sat at the computer, I could be playing a game, and usually I am either doing that or recording this. That's what my computer's for.
Yeah, I guess. I think this is there's nothing I could say that makes this good, so should I just move on?
Yeah, no worries. We can move on.
What's going to happen is okay, Rick, you and I have known each other for a while. We've got like nearly, might even be 3 years worth of podcasts.
Yeah.
I usually cut it out, but there are times when I can see what's going to happen. And what's going to happen is I'm going to say something, then you're going to say something, and we're just going to be talking around in a circle because we're not actually addressing each other's points.
Sure.
So we'll bin that. Well, we won't bin it. You love the audience, we'll be able to hear it, but we'll leave it. Rick, did you know the UK's running out of ghosts?
We're running out of ghosts, are we? Okay.
Right. Okay.
First of all, no, we're not, because they don't exist.
Okay. Okay. So take this with a pinch of salt for two reasons. One, because ghosts don't exist, and two, it's from the Daily Mail.
Okay. There's even more reason that it doesn't exist.
So, the UK is running out of ghosts because, and fucking wait for this, Rick, because you're gonna fucking shit yourself, and I'm quoting here, older ghosts are dying off.
Older ghosts are dying off.
Now say that again loud for those at the back.
Older ghosts are dying off. Okay, so I understand some of the reasoning behind this, in that, depending on how you interpret the legend of a ghost, that it might require people to remember it to be, to have power in the cultural zeitgeist.
By that logic, there should never have been a Victorian ghost as long as we've been alive.
Oh, totally. Like, the only reason for there to be something like that is for, like, word of mouth to be strong enough to pass down that same ghost, and by that double same token, that same ghost should not be dying off. The same reason there should never have been a Roman ghost, which I don't know if I told you about this one, that one of the ghost legends in York is that ghosts walked around from the knees up, because that's where the road used to be in the 0000s.
So here's the thing, Rick, is I kind of love that, because at least there's a logic to it. It's still bullshit, but like it's cute in its bullshit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, these short ass ghosts that just only exist from the knees up.
Here's the thing, Rick, is while it would terrify me, I really do kind of wish that paranormal shit was real, because it would be interesting as fuck. It's not, it's all bullshit, but, the mind does fun things when it's left to its own devices for long enough, shall I say.
Yeah, like, the human mind looks for humans.
Like, my favourite thing is, lately, okay, here's the thing, Rick, is, how I call TikTok a poison, and YouTube Shorts is just copying TikTok?
Yeah, like, weaponized brain rot.
Yeah, for real, like, the other day I caught myself like 20 minutes into just scrolling shorts. I'd wasted 20 minutes of my life and I hated myself. But one of the things I scrolled past was someone going like, always trust your dog. And it was a dog always barking at the shed. And then it was this woman going, did you see the shed door opened on its own? Ah! And I'm like, motherfucker, wind exists. I've got a thing where the reason why I shut my door in my bedroom at night is because if I leave it even cracked slightly, by the morning it'll be wide open, because I've got all the windows open because it's summer and it's hot.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, wind exists. There's plenty of reasons to explain a lot of this shit.
Mine's the opposite. If I leave my door open, at some point it will slam, because wind will come and slam it.
Oh, that's even worse, because that'll wake you up.
Yeah, so, I either need to leave it closed or open with something massive to stop it from slamming.
Anyway, Rick, are you familiar with Plants vs. Zombies?
I kind of am. I'm aware that Plants vs. Zombies 2 was rather controversial because they took things out of the first game just to sell it back to you a piecemeal.
Fair enough. Well, Garden Warfare 3 is... Garden Warfare in general was a fun game. It was basically a Mass Effect / Call of Duty ripoff. I enjoyed the fuck out of it. Garden Warfare 3 is a game I never played. However, here's a fucking controversy that happened in the last 2 weeks.
What happened?
a group of artists and programmers got together and started development of a fan game for Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 3.
Okay.
However, they called it Plants vs. Zombies 3.
Okay.
Which is a problem, because Plants vs. Zombies 3 exists. And in a really surprising twist, and we know this because we have the letter, because the fan authors shared it because they thought it was bullshit, where EA sent them an email saying, hey, we think it's really cool what you're doing. Could you call it something different?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the more reasonable things that EA could have said.
Yeah, and then they threw a tantrum on Twitter, the fan game makers, and EA was like, okay, shut this shit down now.
Yeah.
So they shut it down, only to come back like a week later with a completely different name and completely different looks to the creatures they were using, and EA left them alone when they did this. They didn't really care. But it begs the question as to, why the fuck didn't you do this in the first place, you fucks?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, now they can sell it.
Well, they can't. It's still clearly based on... If they were trying to make money, EA would clamp down again. The reason why they was...
You can't copyright big game mechanics, that's the thing.
It's not... Okay, when I say completely different, I mean legally distinct, not even legally distinct, but before it was literally one-to-one model rips.
Yeah.
And now it's like, they're still very clearly meant to be the Garden Warfare characters. Do you know what I mean?
Right, okay, yeah.
Also, I could be wrong. Maybe they are trying to sell it. Either way, regardless, why throw this very public bitch fit? Because all the goodwill that you had for making this thing is going to be out the window, because EA was like totally cool with it. They just wanted you to change the name.
Yeah, so like your pea shooter that looks a bit like a Bellsprout might now be a clown cartoon cannon.
But they're still plants.
Like
they're still plants. It's still...
Oh, they're still plants and zombies.
This is what I'm saying, yeah. I'm actually going to get the picture for you, Rick, because... let me see here. Yeah, I've got a comparison. Oh, for fuck's sake. My fucking ad blocker's doing its job by not letting me open a pop-up. Here we go.
Thank you, Adblock. Very cool.
Here's the thing, Rick. Is I'm now copying and pasting literally the thing I was sent of the comparative images, and I can't tell which one's real and which one isn't, and which one's the knockoff. So one of those is the real Garden Warfare 3, and one of those is the knockoff game. And again, it's fucking egregious.
Man, the fucking potato isn't even changed.
Like, the pea sprout has not even changed. The zombies nothing has changed apart from the name. I think the bottom one is the knockoff one, but again, it's actually hard to tell.
Yeah, it's oof.
Yeah, so again, the fact that EA's only complaint was a name change is fucking incredible.
Yeah, strange.
Do you want to talk about Caitlyn Jenner?
Oh, what's she done now?
Okay, here's the thing: is I don't like Caitlyn Jenner. I respected them to a certain degree for the visibility they granted the trans community, because, you know, if there's anyone who needs all the help they can get, it's the trans community.
However, she killed a person, and for some reason, she's still a Leopards Eating Faces supporter.
Yeah, so to that point, she tweeted literally yesterday, not yesterday, this was actually about a week ago. My apologies, it's using the American dates. So I thought it was the 6th of June because I read the first date for the first thing first, but it's actually the 1st of June because it's 6/1/24.
Sure.
Anyway, sorry, I digress. This is what she tweeted. I know that. I have been very vocal about this. I am a male, not a woman. Chromosomes don't lie. Which...
What's the fucking point in saying that?
Now, I want to point out, Caitlyn Jenner's been Woman of the Year at least once.
Yeah.
And has been was meant to have been an advocate for essentially trans visibility, if nothing else, of like, trans women are women. And now she's backpedaling on all of this because, as you rightly say, she wants the support of the Leopards Eating Face Party, which she's never going to get.
No. The leopards want to eat her face.
They're going to point to this and go, see, she knows it. Everybody should be acting like this. And then immediately throw her under the bus because, you know, they still don't like it.
Yeah.
And it again, I'd never liked her in the first place, but it really is just like, imagine being trans for half a minute here, and for some reason disregarding all the horrible shit Caitlyn Jenner's done and just looked up to her as a trans icon, and then she says something like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to stop thinking about her.
Alrighty then. Last thing on the list, we're getting a new Dynasty Warriors game.
Sweet. What kind?
Dynasty Warriors Origin.
Okay.
We got like a 2.5-minute trailer, which doesn't tell us dick. But it's by Omega Force, which tend to be in charge on the sort of more spin-off-y Dynasty Warriors projects. I believe they did Strike Force, which was, hey, what if we did Dynasty Warriors, but it was Dragon Ball Z?
Sure.
So, you know, I'm silently optimistic. Dynasty Warriors 9 was absolute dog shit because they tried to make it Zelda, and it's a game franchise that doesn't really...
It doesn't translate into open world.
It could have worked, but not in the way they implemented it. And honestly, even if they made it in a way that did work, I still would have poo-pooed it a bit because open world... The thing that baffles me, Rick, is they have a series called X-Warriors Empires. If you had the Empires mode be open world, I totally get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I can see that working when the open world is just a stage. And like you have a curated part of the open world that becomes a stage for a certain battle, and it might leak out of the bit that it was meant to be in.
Yeah, it's and the baffling thing is that because Dynasty Warriors 9 was so poo-pooed, they immediately reverted back to the old school Empires version for Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, which was like, this is kind of lame. But anyway, that aside, Dynasty Warriors Origins seems to be essentially you're going to play through the Three Kingdoms era as an OC that you create, which is interesting for a few reasons, not least because I don't know how they're going to tell that story.
Yeah, OC stories are always at least slightly weird.
Like, they did a bit of a clever trick in the intro, because the trailer, because they only showed the Yellow Turban Rebellion in the trailer, which is fine, because all the factions are on the same side during that era.
Sure.
So one of two things will happen. Either the story will be complete bullshit, made up bollocks to justify your character being involved in every single major battle, or chances are that after the alliance against Dong Zhuo, they'll it might have a splintering path and you've got to choose which story you want to do. I don't know. It could be interesting, it could be shit. I will probably actually try this game because it's an interesting enough premise either way they do it. But yeah, anyway, that does it for my news. That was a whopping nearly hour pre-edit, guys, so you're welcome. Today, we're doing X-Men Evolution, aren't we, Rick? We both have experience with this.
Yeah, we are. It's been a hell of a long time since I watched this, so if you want to join us along at home, it's Season 1, Episode 1, Strategy. Or Strategy X, sorry. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Yeah, so full disclaimer, we had to do some bullshit workaround to find this, because it's not owned by Disney. Or at least it's not on Disney+.
Yeah, it's rather difficult to find the old tapes, as it were.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this aired on Cartoon Network.
Yes, it did. In fact, I think it was around the time of the Cell Saga as well.
I think this came out in like 2001-ish, so I don't know what the timescale is for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, maybe a bit earlier then.
Good old American football, the sport I know fuck all about.
Yes. Shouldn't it be feetball?
What?
So I'm guessing that's our Jean Grey.
Yeah, that's Jean Grey, there's
Scott.
Cyclops. You know what? The thing I liked most about this show in particular is that a lot of the kids are, made more obviously younger.
Yeah, believably kids.
And except Wolverine, who stays an adult, which means he can be a mentor figure, which is cool.
Yeah, I kind of like that, because, like, even in canon, he's way older than pretty much all of them.
Well, yeah, that's because he's like 200.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty smart way to do it, to be honest, actually.
I mean, yeah. It's also Toad, so he can get away with it. Bear in mind, you wouldn't be able to do this if you had... Well, you would, but you'd be so fucking... have to be so strong, you wouldn't have to resort to it.
Yeah, this is also not long after the movie, so, like, this is the first Toad that wasn't Andy Serkis that people cared about, pretty much.
Didn't even know Andy Serkis played Toad.
Oh, no, it was Ray Park, sorry. Yeah, so Darth Maul was Toad in the movies.
I didn't even know that. Like, again, never even registered it.
He considered fucking them up and actually murdering them.
I was going to say, Cyclops legitimately considering murder, which is one of the cooler things about him being a teenager, is he's allowed to be a bit more brash.
Yeah.
Because when he's in, like, normal X-Men cartoons and normal X-Men canon, he's a lot more mature. He's a paladin, yeah. And he's a leader, exactly.
Yeah, he's the X-Men Captain America in terms of being a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what Wolverine calls him, and that's what sticks.
Yeah, because Wolverine's cool.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about this show is the fucking theme tune. It's okay, it's just the 90s one is so much cooler.
Yeah, it's because it's not the 90s one.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck me, I forgot Quicksilver was in this. Oh, and that's another thing as well, is fucking Sabretooth as a full-grown adult just beating up kids for no reason. It's great.
Yeah.
It's so in line with what Sabretooth would do.
He would as well. I think Rogue spends a lot more time as a villain in this one, doesn't she?
Rogue's in this weird place where, at least in Season 1, she's being courted by both the Brotherhood and the X-Men.
Sure.
I believe she joins the Brotherhood literally because Gambit's over there. And then Gambit eventually does a face turn as well. I think all of the Brotherhood do face turns at one point or another.
I remember really liking Nightcrawler in this.
Nightcrawler's just like a great guy in every canon, but in this it's just amped up to the nth degree. That's a fucking shot though, isn't it?
Yeah, that he's doing his best to keep his eyes squeezed shut because... And also kind of like holding his head in partially agony, partially shame that he let it get this far.
Mm-hmm.
Lobotomy.
It's not a lobotomy. Charles is also a lot more proactive in this series because he's very passive in a lot of other incarnations, but in this one he's actively doing what he can to protect mutants from being discovered.
Yeah.
I believe as the series progress, it gets to the stage where they're like, no, we have to be overt with us.
Oh, what a good kid.
Patches squat.
Reducing Storm to chauffeur.
To be fair, dude, if she used her powers ever, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why all of his skin is covered. Maybe because he's blue and scary.
Blue Lives Matter.
That's another thing as well, is Nightcrawler's one of the few people who annoys Wolverine, but Wolverine kind of likes it.
Yeah.
Because he does it in that fucking shit-talking soldier type of way, rather than, just being a dick.
Yeah.
So pointless.
I know, right? Just to show that it's Wolverine, in case you didn't recognize that.
But here's the fun thing as well: is that every time Wolverine does that, it hurts.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what comic or what show fucking emphasizes it, but like the only reason why his claws don't leave permanent scars is because of his regeneration. So every time he's ripping his flesh apart just to unleash them.
Yeah, they say it in the first movie. Rogue asks him, "Does it hurt?" and he goes, "Every time."
Yeah, but Wolverine's a badass, so fuck you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's only got the 2 fingers, ain't he?
Well, he's got 3. I don't think that's technically a thumb. there's a fucking comic book line where the X-Men are getting completely fucking obliterated by Apocalypse. And Nightcrawler just goes, okay, I'm going to deal with this. And everyone's like, how the fuck are you going to deal with this? So the way his powers work is he actually goes into another dimension and then pops out again further out. But like it's
so he just leaves Apocalypse in the other dimension.
Yeah, that's what he does, is he pops him into the other dimension and then pops back, and everyone's like, dude, that's cool. He's like, yeah. Except the problem is now Apocalypse is in that dimension. So
he can't use his power anymore.
He can use his power, but every time he does, he risks getting fucking completely fucking kicked his shit in by Apocalypse. And
yeah,
there's a great fucking point later on where Wolverine is just like, hey, Kurt, can you grab me a beer from the fridge? Just pop over there and pop back, and he just goes, I'd rather not. So at this point, we don't know this bitch is Mystique.
No.
So is it just part of Toad's ability that he's got, unfortunately, going to just stink?
Apparently.
What would you do if, like, if the principal fucking took you into the office and went, yeah, that guy you had beef with, he's got special powers? Your reaction would just be like, the fuck's happening right now?
Well, also, he's got the Toad tongue, so he knows that, mutants are a thing.
Maybe. Obviously, I can't remember. I believe they take Mystique being Kurt's mother and put that on Rogue for some reason in this series.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, right? Like, shouldn't his tail still be there, just invisible?
I think it is. Like, in the opening credits, he's walking around like that, but his regular tail just pokes out as well. But I think that might just be a creditsism.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can live here and be a cool kid, but also here's your child soldier uniform.
You're not a child soldier. They're not fighting a war.
Yet.
Even when they fight a war, it's not really a war.
Yeah, it's a proxy war.
It's more like it's more like a resistance. Dickhead.
Eat each other's lunches.
Like, here's the thing, though, right? Is like Scott should, in theory, be really up. Like, Scott's wary, and rightly so, because Toad's a fucking slimeball. But like, Scott should, in theory, be trying to actively recruit every mutant, no matter their powers or disposition, to Xavier's school.
Yeah, I think that they're playing up the good powers, good people, bad powers, bad people angle for the most part. I think Rogue is the one that's like the one that bucks the trend, and even then, they put her on the bad side for the longest time.
Okay, well, our issue is now straight up being resolved by the fact that Scott is telling Charles about Toad and being like, hey, check this guy out.
Sure.
And there you go, and Charles is even like, it doesn't matter that he smells, we gotta help. This is Cerebro. Fucking love Cerebro. It's dumb, but I love it.
I think Kurt's one of the reasons why I like blue tieflings as well.
Alright. I love fucking Storm's use of her powers in cartoons. They're always the dumbest.
Yeah, I just make a tiny cloud and make it rain inside so I don't have to bother picking up a fucking watering can. It also is a little bit hypocritical, though, when Storm's normally the one who's the most vocal about people accepting themselves as mutants, when she's the one who's won the mutant superpower lottery.
This is true, and I get it, but at the same time, she does need to say that shit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I think the only umbrage she has in the movie is calling it a cure. Whereas it's not really a cure because you can't help how you're born, and I think that's what her point is. However, it's just a really bad... It was a poor choice by the writers to have her say it to Rogue. Yeah, because Rogue is legitimately can't do so much shit. It's basically a disability.
Yeah.
So I get why she wants to get rid of it, and I think most people in universe also understand.
Mm-hmm.
A Toad is such an easy villain to just have fucking get fucked with.
Yeah.
For real, if part of Toad's deal is he's just cursed with horrible stench, then that is just a bad deal.
Yeah.
Imagine Froppy, but she smells.
Yeah, he can run. A smelly Froppy. Oh man, that sounds like a sex move.
Involves tongues and assholes, and you know it.
Yeah, it's for people with long prehensile tongues.
I like how they give Storm just a hint of booty.
Yeah.
Did he just call him a blue little Wookiee
boy?
Blue
little Wookiee boy.
That's a pretty good smack talk. I mean,
yeah, because he doesn't look that furry, but he's meant to be furry.
Yeah. Here's the problem, though, right? Is the reason why Nightcrawler never looks that hairy is because they need to make Beast look hairy, and if you've got two blue hairy people will complain.
Yeah.
Did they just go into the danger room? Because that's bad.
Yeah, so it would seem.
That's bad, and that's not good. We need to watch that movie, Rick. I need to see if I can find it. Maybe it's on YouTube, but it's... That's stupid! Why would you have automated defences in your training room?
Yeah, it's... at least have a way to turn them on and off.
Yeah, without going inside. For real, there's no off button. They have to actively have Cyclops blow the fuck out of it.
Yeah, they can't even just cut the power.
Listen to that fucking flirting.
Hey, I'm here for it.
I like how they haven't questioned where he got his super villain uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking... Storm could have just
Storm
gone in
just
there and
palpatining.
solved everything in 2 seconds.
Yeah, everything that Scott can do, Storm can do with one of her many powers. I blew it.
Something I've noticed about Xavier is, like, it doesn't matter what cartoon he's in, he always sounds the fucking same.
Yeah, I think that's an intentional thing, though. Like, even if he's not the same voice actor, someone's going to be trying to take off that kind of feel.
Yeah. I'm just saying, man, if someone made a cartoon based on Logan when he took over the fucking Institute and was trying to teach people shit, I'd watch it.
Yeah, totally.
Fucking unnecessarily mean.
Yeah. Stink boy.
That's another thing as well, is like this show gets Xavier and Logan's bond pretty good. Pretty correct.
Yeah, because they do respect each other. Scott looking suspiciously tall.
That's because Kurt's short as fuck.
Sure.
And don't forget, the only other person we got is Logan, who I think is only taller than Scott, if that, in this show, because Scott is still a teenager.
Yeah, because normally he's meant to be like a 5'4", like, short tank.
I remember there was a story once of, like, fucking Hugh Jackman dressing up like Wolverine for a convention after he'd played Wolverine and entering a Wolverine lookalike competition and coming in, like, 5th because, and I quote, he was too short. Which is bollocks, because Hugh Jackman's tall as fuck compared to Wolverine.
Yeah, totally.
Like, he just straight up went, what? There we go. In case you didn't already know.
Yeah, because she did a demon form earlier.
I don't know how Magneto's doing this.
Yeah, I think in this one they make Magneto, like, partially telepathic.
No, he's a ghost.
Oh, he's a ghost, is he? Okay.
I don't know, but, like, he just appeared in the windscreen. It's like, what the fuck? God damn, I think, you know how I tell you that Raven was, like, my awakening to that type of girl? I'm pretty sure Rogue was that for this generation.
Yeah, Rogue for goths, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, the music's fine, it's not the theme I love.
Yeah, this was also, like, way pre-Disney as well.
Well, case in point, the Fox films were still fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this was so different from what we'd had before that, you know, it got its own little reputation, as it were. Like, I still remember Spike fondly, and I'm pretty sure Spike only appears in this.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because a mutual friend of ours told me once that X-23 debuted in X-Men Evolution. I went, bullshit, looked it up, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't know she came from this series.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the back of my mind I might have known that as well.
I mean, you've got the same friends. So either you knew it and you told them, or you both discovered it at the same time, or they told you as well. But either way, again, I had no fucking clue. I generally thought she was a comic convention.
Yeah, my first introduction to X-23 was seeing her in the Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Same, except I think it was 2.
Yeah. I didn't have 2, despite the fact that I had a Dreamcast, and it was like one of the best games on the Dreamcast. So yeah, it was only when I only got in with 3.
Like, and here's the thing is, I think I must have just dropped off X-Men Evolution before they introduced her, and that's probably why I never connected the two. Like,
yeah.
It's one of those weird things, because the same thing's true for Harley Quinn, is she's not a comic convention, she debuted in the animated series.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, before I get bogged down in random fucking tangents. Rick, we both familiar with X-Men Evolution, but here on your revisit to episode 1, what did you think?
It was, I think, a pretty decent opening episode that wasn't just introductions.
I mean, case in point, it didn't even introduce everyone. It's given us a core cast, but like a lot of the Brotherhood didn't show up. We know Sabretooth's here, but we never actually saw him speak.
Yeah, he just pops up in like a couple of frames. Spike isn't here yet.
Kitty isn't
Rogue
here.
isn't here yet. No Gambit.
No Kitty. Gambit doesn't show up till season 2, if I recall.
Sure. But yeah, Kitty Pryde, who was in the opening crawl, also didn't show up, like you say.
Haven't seen Blob or Quake.
Nope.
So a lot of core members of the cast just not introduced. And it's interesting.
And Magneto's a ghost.
And Magneto's fucking bullshit. We don't know what's going on with Magneto. I can't remember why Magneto's a ghost and able to do his magnet shit from a shit zillion miles away. But yeah, Quicksilver didn't show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I digress. It's very interesting because as in episode 1, we usually give a bit of leeway to episode 1s because they got to introduce everything and everyone, and they didn't. But they didn't need to. They just introduced the characters they needed for this episode. And I'm sure over the next couple, we're going to get the entire roster being revealed. Like, the main villain for this episode was effectively Toad.
Yeah, and he was kind of a jobber, but that's all he ever needs to be. Like, that's his character arc, is that he's always a jobber and he never wins.
It's like Shocker in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or fucking...
Always a jobber, never wins.
Or the fucking Falcone crime family in Batman.
Yeah.
Like, they just exist to be that initial hurdle.
Yeah, to make every other criminal look better. But yes, any more to add on what you thought?
I think more things should take cues from this when it comes to episode 1s.
Yeah.
It was weirdly well paced in that sense, where, again, it was introducing everyone and everything, and it helps that we've already seen this series before, so we kind of have the vague gist of what's going on, but if they introduced even a couple more characters, it might have felt like too much. I think they really did strike the balance well.
Yeah. I think what also helps is that because it's a new take on something that people kind of already know, they don't have to go into a lot of detail with certain things.
This is true, because like before this, I believe we've had at least one X-Men film before this came out, and we definitely had the 90s animated series, so it really couldn't be any more different.
I think the second movie was already out, so Nightcrawler was already in the cultural zeitgeist, so he wasn't in the first movie.
Hey man, I gotta be honest with you, apart from bits of the first movie and a part of Wolverine Origins, I don't remember dick about the Fox live-action films.
Like, I remember in the first movie, there's a bit of a road trip between Rogue and Wolverine.
Yeah, I remember there's a big hullabaloo. One of the reasons why Wolverine fucking hates Charles Xavier halfway through the film is it was like, you said they were coming for me! But they took Rogue instead. Yeah. It was whatever. But anyway, I digress. Shall we get to the wind down?
Yeah, let's go.
Well then, favourite moment?
I think it's when Kurt decides that he can help, in that... Yeah, he's been chasing down Toad and been fighting, but when he's in the training room and realizes that it's a training exercise and that these things are meant to be overcome, he just goes from basically fleeing for his life and being rescued to helping immediately.
It's a real show of character, that is for sure.
Yeah, and he does it well as well. Like, okay, that didn't work, but he goes immediately to something that he can unplug and unplugs it.
Yeah.
Because that's like a perfect use of his powers in that moment, even though it doesn't work out properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the only downside you can give him is if he knew slightly earlier, he could have just teleported himself and Toad out the room. But yeah. I think that's more of a fault to Toad, because Toad immediately went, oh, fuck this, and, kicked him to get away.
Yeah. But yeah, how about you? Do you have a favourite moment?
It was almost immediate that my favourite moment of the aftermath of Scott's eye lasers going off, where you get that shot
like you say,
of him scrunching his eyes shut, covering them with his hands, and just looking utterly ashamed of himself.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's very telling, especially whenever he has his glasses on or a way to control his powers, he is nothing but confidence personified.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to,
and then he's just so small when he has to, not kill things.
Yeah, it's a well composed shot, and it's something they make use of quite well. It's always good to show your character who's so, and I might be using this incorrectly, but high and mighty in a moment of weakness, because even going forward, Scott could face no defeat, but you'd still have this in the back of your mind.
Yeah, totally.
I don't really know what I'm trying to say here. I just know I appreciated it, because I think that's one of the problems we have with Cyclops in a lot of media, is you never see him being wrong or doing the bad thing. It's always Boy Scout this and Boy Scout that, and it's just good to show a moment of weakness. And you can't do this with Wolverine, because when you show Wolverine a moment of weakness, he's bloody and beaten the fuck up.
Yeah.
Whereas with Scott, all you need to do is take away his visor or his glasses, and again, it defeats him, and he's ashamed, which is something he tries desperately to never show, because he wants to be an example to other mutants.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it was very obvious at that point that this is a hell of a shot.
Absolutely.
Just showing him not just weak, but like you say, ashamed.
And it's also a nice touch that it was in fact Jean who gave him the glasses back, because Jean is always always the thing that elevates Scott.
Yeah. And she used her powers to find them as well, because everything else was just heavy and on fire.
A very bad mix, but yeah. We can't only talk about the good though, we also have to talk about the bad, so let's get to it. Rick, do you have a weakest link?
I didn't like Mystique's characterization. I think you catch more flies with honey, and she could have used her wiles on Toad a lot more, and he would probably have been receptive to it, because he's a bit of a sleazebag.
I believe that going forward, she does this thing in this series where they kind of missed the deal with Mystique. Mystique's always using her allure to do things.
Yeah.
In this series, because she's meant to also be a lot older than the team, because, everyone else is a teenage student. They're in college, I think it's meant to be college, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
And she's like in her 30s, which might as well be 60 to a college student. She's meant to be an authority figure, so maybe I think the writers and the creators were like, maybe we should tone it down when she's talking to the students. That being said, I
don't cross that line, I guess, I
do think they go a bit overboard to compensate for this, because I think later on she's crazy mad for Magneto Dick. But I might be conflating that with another X-Men series.
Yeah, that's why she's not into the... she's not using her wiles on the kids, because she's trying to save it all for Magneto.
She might also find it difficult to do that with Toad, because, as established, Toad smells very bad.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the difficult lines to cross, as it were.
And he may or may not be able to help it, is the thing that is also bugging me a bit, because I feel generally bad for Toad if he can't help it. That being said, his teeth are all rotten and green, so it might just be... he might just not take care of himself.
Well, he also makes slime inside his mouth, so that's probably part of it.
This is true. And also, he seems to be shit on by everyone from all walks of life. And a sign of depression is not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, that's my weakest link. Do you have a weakest link?
Why the fuck is Magneto a ghost?
Yeah. For all the praise we gave it on introducing characters that it introduced generally well, while not so much hitting the ground running, hitting the ground jogging with the characters that needed to have characterization, Magneto only gets some remote control paper clips and being a ghost in a window.
It's very unclear what they were going for here. I don't know if they changed his powers to involve some telepathy and that was just in Mystique's mind, or I don't fucking know. It's been too long since I watched Evolution. There might be a reasoning for it, but it seems dumb.
Yeah, he might even be using his metal powers to put himself on speakerphone in a pocket or something.
I'd hate it, but it would make more sense than nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't like to leave it on a negative, obviously, and honestly, I think we're going to have a tough time with this next category. Rick, who gets your MVP?
Oh, it's definitely going to be Kurt for me for this time, because he's basically what drew me to the series was I wanted to see what they were going to do with Nightcrawler and Rogue, and everyone else could... I'm not so much saying burn in a fire, but those are the characters that I wanted to see, because I like them both from the movies, and I wanted to see what they did with them in this, and Kurt is just he's such a fluffy character to watch because he's joyful and he's had every problem that he had solved, and he just comes out of his shell immediately.
Yeah, you know what? It's something I kind of glossed over, but it really is true that the only barrier that Kurt has to being social is the fact that he looks the way he looks, and
yeah, the fact that he's blue and like people call him a demon and everything.
And like, here's why I always say it doesn't matter what you say; it matters how you say it. Because you brought up the fact that everyone calls him demon, and in this episode, Jean Grey called him a demon, but jokingly and lovingly, so it's fine.
Yeah, after he called her an angel.
Yeah, like, it must be rough, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. How about you? Who's going to be your MVP today?
It's a real toss-up between two, and because I don't like the other character for other mediums, I'm going to go for Charles Xavier.
Yeah, you were about to... You were wrestling with giving it to Scott, weren't you?
I really was, because he shined in this episode for many reasons, but I'm going to give it to Charles. Gotta be honest with you, Charles is probably the only character who is completely unchanged in this series.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, they didn't do much with him because they didn't have to. I think the only time he's really changed is in the prequel movies where they give him legs.
But yeah, but that's a thing in the comics as well.
Yeah, that he used to be able to walk and now he can't.
Like, I enjoyed him. Every time he's on screen, I'm like, yep, that's Charles Xavier. The only thing he did, which other versions of the character might not have, depending on what version you're looking at, was implanting a different memory in that cop's mind.
Yeah, which it's a nice, subtle way to throw off suspicion from the students.
Well, again, the student was knocked unconscious. They generally didn't remember. It was the cop that they changed the memory of.
Yeah. But like throwing suspicion off the Xavier Institute students.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
As in the pre-X-Men X-Men.
Yeah, it's very weird because that seems to be what the gimmick is. The battleground is a school.
Yes.
The Brotherhood and the X-Men fight over schoolyard bullshit.
Yeah. That's a bit like Voldemort tries to take over a school and fails. Yeah. But yeah, we've been going for about an hour and a half now.
Yeah, pre-edit. So we're going to say goodbye for now, guys. This was a request. And we do accept requests as long as we're not doing a themed month. We actually got this while we were doing Space Month. And I told Rick, once Space Month is finished, we'll do this.
Yeah. And it helps that we like pretty much all the requests that we've done so far.
Yeah. I think the only request I denied was the same chap who requested this and the Sentai thing. They asked what I thought of the Sentai series as a whole. And I was like, I didn't watch the whole series. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately it's in Japanese, so I can't even watch it while doing something else. I have to watch it and it alone.
Yeah, you can't second monitor that shit.
Exactly. But I'm sure it was fine. It's Sentai. It's hard for that to not be fine. That being said, I'm waffling. Requests, we accept them. You can let us know in the comment section what you'd like us to watch and review. But you can also just tell us what you thought. Who do you think got the MVP award in this first episode of X-Men Evolution? Do you think we should get more shows like X-Men Evolution? I'm sure if you bitch at Disney, they might concede.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, add some of their fucking cartoons to their fucking platform. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not mad. But yeah, if you want to do that, we've got a comment section down below on YouTube. Alternatively, we know we're not just on YouTube, we also have the audio platform, and you people can send us an email at
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's been fun. X-Men Evolution's always a fun time. We're glad you stuck with us until the end, and hopefully you'll join us again next week for what I think is another cartoon. Bye, guys.
Ta-ra.